that I know Shannon don't know a thing about.
The research team and gave him.
It feels like he has a research team questions.
Hot tea.
All right, I heard the Podfather say some very interesting things about Shannon Sharpe and his interview style during his latest Ray J interview. Let's see what the Podfather had to say. Like the video and subscribe.
Ray J and Shannon Sharpe had a really big interview.
I'm done watching Shannon Sharpe interviews for the rest
Really?
of the year. Yeah, I'm done. I didn't see it. I don't
Why?
want to see
Why?
it.
Why, Big Joe?
Not important because I'm just done. It's my own personal business. I don't want to share.
Okay.
I'm not being grumpy, but there's nothing
What do you
wrong.
think of Shannon Sharpe's interview?
There's nothing wrong, and you trying to set me up.
I'm asking you a question.
What part of his interviews? I think Shannon gets really important interviews.
Of course.
Like, I like the people that he sits with and speaks to. For me, I'm having a hard time being able to recognize which sports analysts aren't watching the games. Like, I can tell. I can tell who's on in the morning just reading off stats or reading off papers. And that don't do it for me, really.
Yeah.
And that's where Shannon's interviews are for me. Like, he's asking about a lot of things that I know Shannon don't know a fucking thing about.
The research team and gave him.
It feels like he has a research team questions.
I mean, he has the paper
and he's
right there in
bringing
front of him.
it in, and he's Shannon sharpening it out to them.
It ain't
they ask the
exactly a
question.
secret.
Right.
But it feels
but some people freak that paper a little better.
Yeah, exactly.
He
It's
makes
too
it feel
heavy-handed.
like, and I love him and what he's doing. I wish him nothing but the best. But that coupled with the, oh, come on now, Ray J. You feel like, it's like, oh, okay.
It comes across
It comes off back to what they said about him with the cigar and the Henny on Skip's show.
Gimmick.
And I don't want to view him like that. He's one of the best tight ends in the world. Pause or unpause. Pride Month.
It's Pride Month.
Yeah, he's one of the best. I love him. I love what he represents. I do love all the memes. Like, he's brought a lot to the game, and I'm appreciative of it. I want him to continue to bring shit to the game, but I just don't necessarily have to watch it.
The Ray J joint was, I liked it.
Actually, that was a prime example of the Ray J shit. He teased the Ray J interview, and the tease was something along the lines of, we got Ray J and he's gonna give it up about everything in the world. You never heard Ray J unfiltered like this. That's what the tease said. I know Ray J.
I've seen a lot of
I've
his
sat
interviews.
with Ray J. I've interviewed Ray J.
And he give it up all the time.
I don't think he gives it up at all.
What do you think?
I don't think Ray J gives it up at all. I think Ray J is a media genius.
Yeah.
If he giving it up, it's fake. He wants you to think he giving it up. But he don't really tell you nothing that he ain't said before or just some surface level shit. Ray J gonna sit down and control his interview. There was nothing that said to me that Shannon was gonna get some information out of Ray J.
And he's gonna control it.
Ray J came to everyday struggle,
Ray J's a
spun
pro.
them niggas around. Ray J
gonna get his shit off.
Ray J gonna get his shit off at all times, no matter who's sitting there.
Yeah.
Don't think that you did something
Special,
to
yeah.
Ray J. You didn't.
All right, so we got Joe giving Shannon Sharpe some of that polite smoke, okay? Now look, I was sitting back today and I was thinking, damn, I don't want to put this video out and people start blaming me for some new podcast beef. So if Joe and Shannon start beefing over this, keep Never Gave Up name out of the conversation. Don't blame me, all right? Because I was kind of waiting to see if some other media outlets would pick this up, but ain't nobody talked about it, so I got to come and I got to do what I got to do. Now, this has been a conversation for a while ever since the Shannon Sharpe and Cat Williams interview. People have had a lot of commentary and a lot of criticism about Shannon Sharpe's interview style. And at first, they applauded it with the Cat Williams interview because in those type of interviews where you got somebody just kind of shooting off and they putting out all this kind of like viral content and they going at niggas. And obviously, in my opinion, Cat knew what he was going to talk about when he came in there. So he was just firing off, bang, 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 bang. You kind of sit back and you let those people talk. So people applauded it in that situation because people wanted to hear what Cat Williams had to say. Cat has done a lot of interviews where he spoke about similar things, but you could just tell in that particular interview, especially when we haven't seen him in quite some time, and the topics that Cat was hitting on, it just all meshed together, and it was like, yeah, Shannon, you should just sit back and let Cat talk. You see a similar type of style when people get Kanye West in the door, right? You just kind of let Kanye go off. But now it's become a thing where not only is Shannon getting criticism for kind of dipping into the gossip stuff, and let's be honest, when it comes to men, people like to pick and choose when a man can be chatty patty and gossip about shit. When it's somebody you don't like, you don't mind niggas, chatting and gossiping and doing the most on YouTube and podcasts. But when it's somebody you like, then it's like, oh, look at these grown men gossiping. But that's just a whole nother story and side of the situation. But people have looked at his content and said, okay, you looking for clout, you looking for clips, you trying to go viral, and you start to get this conversation about pushback. Why isn't Shannon giving pushback? Then you add the layer Joe just put on it, which is, do the nigga even know what he talking about? We see that a lot. Let's go back to that Amanda Seales interview with Shannon Sharpe, and I think this is a great point. That was an interview where I felt like Shannon was trying to do a little pushback, and he got killed. Because they was like, look at this man trying to give Amanda Seales some pushback. But then it kind of balanced out because it was some stuff in there Amanda Seales was talking about that people were giving her criticism for. So it balanced out. At first, they was kind of mad at Shannon. And then when some stuff came out about Amanda Seales and her potentially lying about having some type of illness and shit like that, then people started getting on her ass. But I felt like that was a moment where Shannon was trying to do some pushback, and I felt like he said to himself, all right, I'm not going to do that no more. I'm just going to go back to letting people talk. Also, in that interview as well, you had a time, wasn't it a point where he was trying to say Amanda Seales' race and her mama was white and something like that? And she was like, no, nigga, you don't know what the fuck you talking about. And that lends into what Joe was just talking about, where it's like you interviewing people, but do you know what you're talking about? Are you doing the proper research? Now, I thought it was a great point to bring up these sports shows because I don't know if y'all noticed, they always have a microphone in their ear. So they have an independent person who is feeding them information as they talk. So Shannon, coming from that world, I'm sure he uses that same type of approach with the podcast. So he has somebody kind of giving him probably watered down information about the guests that he's having on. And then he goes out and he tries to kind of swing it. And even Joe said, it's people who do that do it better than Shannon. And I just kind of look at it as Shannon is a football player. I don't look at him like a Charlemagne. I don't look at him like a Joe Budden. Even though he's getting these incredible numbers and he's the hot thing right now, and I don't think his platform is going anywhere, I think it's going to become the lineup of interviews you do. You do a Breakfast Club, you do a Joe Budden, and then you do a Shannon Sharpe. I think Shannon has moved his way inside of that trajectory, and I think that's great and phenomenal, and I give him his praise. But I think when it comes to every interviewer, you get something different. You get something different with Vlad. You get something different with No Jumper. You get something different with Joe. You get something different with Charlemagne. But when it comes to this conversation about pushback, which I think is very important, I don't like people acting like they give more pushback than the next person. Because y'all got to understand, when you get somebody in the room to do an interview, your goal is not to offend that person. But see, now we done kind of gotten to this space where it's cool to make somebody walk off and leave. And see, that shit goes viral and it gets clicks. But I still feel like interviewers, they pick and choose people to do that with. If you somebody I really don't feel like I'm going to get a whole bunch of views off of, then I try to piss you off. If you notice that, notice all the people that people get to leave and walk off, like Adam 22 years ago when he got Cuban Dow to walk off. That's Cuban Dow. Would he do that to XXXTentacion, rest in peace? Hell no. Would he do that to Drake? Hell no. He wouldn't even do that to Joe Budden. So people pick and choose the people who they try to troll and get those viral moments off of. But for the most part, hell no. You try to be nice and kiss a lot of ass when you in these interviews. So I can point out an interview from Joe when he's giving out this criticism. And I think his criticism may have been more about being prepared for an interview and knowing your information. But I just want to keep it on giving pushback. Because I feel like it was a little bit of that sentiment in what he was saying as well. Like, you just going to sit back and talk. You not prepared. And are you even going to push back on the conversation? Are you going to question people? Are you going to call somebody out? But I've seen Joe do a similar type of style during his interviews. I can think of the Candace Owens interview. Now, it was obvious in that interview that he liked Candace and he was happy to have her on the platform. But I'll give you a comparison. Did you see Candace Owens' interview with The Breakfast Club and how they made her look stupid, bringing up all of that shit she didn't know about black culture and stuff like that? Joe wasn't trying to get into it like that with Candace. And so somebody could look at Joe's interview with Candace and say, okay, you got this controversial woman up in here, somebody who a lot of African Americans feel like doesn't represent the culture the right way. You didn't really give her the interview that a lot of black people felt like you should have gave her. You should have pressed her. And Joe didn't do that. So that's just a prime example of him taking the Shannon Sharpe approach. I can even go to Charlemagne. Remember his interview with Kanye West years ago when they was walking in the wildlife with the plants and all that shit? That was a very soft interview from Charlemagne the God. That wasn't your regular Charlemagne the God, the same approach that he had in The Breakfast Club. He gave Kanye a very soft interview at that time. Then vice versa, you look at a platform like Drink Champs, they really got Kanye to talk about that shit, and they really questioned Kanye. They pushed back with Kanye. Now, you can say, well, that's Drink Champs. Niggas is drinking alcohol and all of that other stuff, but that's not the point. Because if the goal is to get them niggas drunk to press them, I mean, it's still doing more than, you know, what you could say Shannon Sharpe does in his interviews. But what I'm saying is Charlemagne is giving soft interviews. Joe is giving soft interviews. As a matter of fact, on this podcast y'all was listening to with Joe, he had Elliott Wilson. And Elliott Wilson's claim to fame, rather, is the Drake interview. Now, is it a monumental interview? Yes, because it's really the only time we ever heard Drake talk like that. Elliott was doing a lot of giggling in that motherfucking interview. Okay. He was doing a lot of ass kissing in that interview. It's a monumental interview just based off the fact that Drake has never done that before, except for with LeBron. But even that interview he did with LeBron, it wasn't as in-depth as the Elliott Wilson interview. You know, it was kind of like a kickback with LeBron and they was chit-chatting. He talked about the Kanye shit, but that was the only real controversial thing that he talked about in that interview. With Elliott, he talked about ghostwriting and all that other shit. So I give Elliott his credit for that in general, but that interview wasn't a hard-hitting, let's get to the serious questions, let's make Drake uncomfortable interview. And that's my point. I see a lot of these guys in media, they see somebody do a particular style and they want to come at them as if every interview they give is some hard-hitting, you know, straight to the point, let's really get to the questions that people want to hear. Everybody don't do that every time out. People pick and choose which interviews to go in with certain type of energy, how serious you're going to be, how serious are the questions going to be. You know, at the end of the day, you're trying to make content and you just want to be able to put that content out to make the money off of it. Let's just be real. Everybody ain't doing this for the culture and all this other shit. It's a business. Even if the interview don't make a certain amount of money, just the stature and the acclaim from the interview will help you in another deal down the line. So everybody plays the industry game. And I do think some people have this criticism of Shannon Sharpe because he's playing the game, but he's doing it at the highest level right now, and the numbers are obviously monumental. And I wouldn't say Joe is jealous of Shannon Sharpe, because I don't think he should be. They're in two different spaces, but I do think Shannon has come in and made a lot of people uncomfortable with their position. And you know how it is. Everybody got their reason that they feel like they that nigga. Joe feel like I'm the rapper. I'm the insider. Charlamagne the God is like, I've been doing this for so many years. I work with the best. I work with Wendy Williams. I turned up the Breakfast Club. Academics is like, nigga, I did Warren Chirac. I'm the #1 voice in hip hop when it comes to young niggas. I started the SoundCloud wave. Same thing with Adam 22. Claim to fame with the SoundCloud rappers and the underground rappers. Everybody got their reason they feel like they that nigga. DJ Vlad, I can get people to talk about the federal shit. I can get people to talk about, the stuff that could put them in jail. Everybody got their thing that they feel like makes them unique. I don't even know if I've found my thing, but my point is everybody got an ego in this shit and don't get it twisted. So people are looking at Shannon and what he's doing and saying, look at that nigga. He ain't all that. This nigga athlete, he really don't know what the fuck he talking about. Why is he getting all of these numbers? And I don't feel like it's like hate, beef hate, but it's a little bit of hate, all right? But at the same time, none of these people should be jealous because they all have a platform where they're making 7 figures, right? All right, so that's my long-winded shit because y'all know I give commentary. That's my thing. I'm the commentary god, nigga. But if the beef do break out between Shannon and Joe, you just make sure you leave my name outside the door. Don't bring me in the door, okay? Like the video and subscribe. Hey, nigga, donate. Hit the super chat. Scan the PayPal. Hit the Cash App. Thank you. Have a blessed day.